All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Living a Life in Flow. Tonight's webinar is all about flow and wellness with Dr. Brett. I thought of how best to introduce Dr. Brett. Other than about a year ago, I started doing wellness coaching with Brett. It's been a phenomenal year in terms of my physical and emotional, spiritual wellness. We work quite closely together on that, and I really have appreciated his time. And I must say this is one of my favorite people in the world. Just spending time with him, and Brett, even having you on here tonight is going to be a jewel. We really focused when we thought about what we wanted for tonight. We really said we wanted to have a lot of fun. So I'm really looking forward to tonight. So I thought about how best to capture this essence of Brett, and as you know I do because I can. I'm going to play you a video.
The world is full of strange behavior. Every man has to be his own savior. I know I can make it on my own if I try, but I'm searching for a great heart to stand me by underneath the African sky. A great heart to stand me by. I'm searching for the spirit of the great heart to hold and keep me by. I'm searching for the spirit of the great heart under African skies.
All right. That is Dr. Brett. Now, on our side, we couldn't see that video. So maybe one or two of you could just pop into the question section on your screen as to whether you could see it, because it certainly helps as there are other videos still coming. So, Brett, welcome.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here. So, one of the things we were talking about earlier in the week when we were talking about flow is this idea that there are a whole bunch of systems in your body that require flow. Yeah, so tell us about those.
Okay, so that's correct, and the whole thing about the physiology of the body is how everything communicates. So the most important system from a physiological point of view is the nervous system. It actually communicates between all the different organs, the cells, the systems, the tissues, and it's all orchestrated through the central nervous system. That then controls other systems like the cardiovascular system, obviously the flow of blood, lymph flow. Your gastrointestinal system is very important in terms of how that's flowing, making sure you're getting rid of toxins, eliminating things not necessary in the body, and there are various other ones as well.
Gotcha. So for me, what I keep thinking of, because we've had this conversation in the past, is that flow really affects wellness. So when I'm happy, when I'm motivated, when I'm gung-ho and charging, then my wellness increases. So when I'm in the emotional and mental state of flow, then my body is responding as well at the same time. You know, I'm sure all of you out there have that same feeling. When you are in a state of flow, then there's this great energy that comes into your body, and it's backed up with research that your immune system improves, etc. Now, all these systems that require flow in my body, do they, I guess the question I'm asking is, we know flow influences my wellness, and do the degree to which we're in wellness then have a reciprocal effect on how in flow we are?
Well, it does in a positive and a negative way. The greatest thing from a feeling point of view, when you're feeling in flow, it's part of the limbic system, the system that controls your hormones, your happy hormones. Everyone will know about endorphins, and the big one that we have a look at is dopamine. Dopamine's a drug. So it's not a drug, but it's a
All right, so you didn't hear that here. We are not advising you to go and take drugs. I need to screen future people a bit closely. Brett, yes.
So dopamine, obviously dope was named after dopamine because it gives us such a great feeling of feeling good about ourselves, and often people in any form of addiction, they don't have dopamine released in their body. That's another thing with depression, anxiety. Dopamine is very closely linked with that. So when we are in flow, from a positive perspective, dopamine is flowing through our brain, and that's the feeling we get. On the flip side of the coin, the negative thing is the stress hormones. When we feel things are difficult and life's not good, the converse of that is the negative hormones that then affect the body, and they've been the research and all the evidence is out there that those chemicals have a negative effect on cells. It it damages cells, breaks down the cell wall tissue, those sorts of things. So it happens on a positive and a negative way.
Great. So the message here is that if you are in flow, not only do you get yourself well, and when you're well, it makes it easier to get into flow. So the two are directly related. So Brett, you're going to take us through something that you took me through a year ago. Brett's Wellness Manifesto is a tool that he uses when he starts wellness coaching with his clients, and it is fundamentally a manifesto to help get you on the journey to wellness well, I don't want to give it away, but I'm going to say this, that we all know that our beliefs affect our actions, and our actions affect the results we have. So your beliefs you have are fundamental to getting into a state of wellness, and Brett's going to talk us through that. My invitation is, guys, please keep sending us questions while Brett's doing a lot of the talking tonight. I'm going to be monitoring your questions and interrupting him every now and then and saying, Brett so-and-so has a question for us, so please keep those sending through. And Brett, I'm going to hand over to you to take us through the manifesto. While you just have a few words, I'm going to switch up your slides so that everyone can see them, and then you can take us through it.
Thank you. Cool. Thank you very much. So the manifesto that I've built up has been many years' work of how to get people motivated into making change. There are thousands of things, hundreds of things that we all know that we could be doing, should be doing, that will make us healthy. And I'll be the first to put up my hand that I don't do all of these things. So when we go through this, it's about setting us up for the greatest way that we can create success in that. Tony Robbins talks about the passion behind something. If you take a dart and you press it up to someone, yes, it's going to hurt, but if you have a lot of energy behind that dart, it can actually pierce through metal. So it's all about building up that energy behind it, so getting people pumped up about wanting to change, and then getting into the nitty-gritty of what they would like to do. So the greatest thing from a perspective with my flow coach here, Linden, is how to get into flow with the changes that we want to make in life. So the overall thing that I want people to understand is that they must love what they do. They must love their life, love their exercise, love their food, love their spirituality, love everything. And that's when they're in flow. That's a word that I get to describe it, is when you love what you're doing. So there'll be a few things that we're going to go through here. So I just want to check, can everyone see the slide?
Yeah, they should be able to.
Okay.
And if you can't, please just drop us once again. If you can't see it, just drop us into it. Brett, just quickly picking up on what you've said already. Something we've spoken a lot about over the last 2 weeks is that to get into flow, you've got to do things you love. So if you're on a diet, if you've got an exercise plan that you really can't stand and is hard work, you are not going to be able to get into flow in your wellness. So I think that's going to be a consistent message that comes across tonight.
Thank you, Linden. So we're going to dive straight in. I want to explain to you the 4 steps that we're going to go through to get you to do your manifesto. So if you've got a paper and pen ready, you can be writing as we go through this. So the 4 steps that we're going to talk about is the core philosophy. Every single decision that you make in life is based upon a belief system that you got, whether it was from your parents, from the school, from the church. We talk about preachers, teachers, mothers, and fathers. So our core philosophy is vital, that it makes sense and that it's grounded in logic and, in my case, in science, so that what I believe about myself, my spirituality, my life, but specifically today about health, is that it is grounded in science. So I need to prove what my beliefs are. So we're going to be going through what my examples are. Linden may be chipping in there. Then we're going to go through, why do you want to be well? Why do we want to be healthy? How do we define health? How do we measure health? We're going to move on to the vision. I'm a big advocate of what you focus on, or what you think matters, not in terms of matters in your life, but it turns into physical matter. And then we're going to talk about the strategy. The last part, which everyone usually starts with, we're going to have a look at the energy behind what you would choose to do if there's certain things that you want to change in your life. So The core philosophy, some of my core philosophies that I'm going to be sharing. I was born to be well. Linden came to a talk that I was doing the other day, and he challenges me on a lot of things. That's what I really admire about this man, is he doesn't let me get away with anything. He is also my accountability partner, so we keep each other accountable for the things that we say. So my belief is that we are all born well. And he said, all of us, Brett? So I said, okay, well, the research shows that between 94 and 96% of us are born healthy and born functioning perfectly. The same as the cars that come off the assembly line, 94 to 96% of them work fine. So that is one of the things. Yes.
So, Brett, I got a question here for you. Why do we want to make our beliefs clear? So what's the purpose of having your core philosophy?
So the purpose of that is that every single decision that you make in life about your health is going to come from your belief. If you believe that, say for instance, if you believe that the earth is flat, then it's going to have a big influence on your actions. Maybe that's not a good example, but if you believe that your body is inherently healthy and well, then a lot of the actions are going to be revolving around that belief. If you believe that if it don't itch, don't scratch, and what's the other expression? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. People don't think that they need to work on things in order to maintain efficient function, whether it's a car, swimming pool, whatever.
Gotcha. So you'll see in Brett's slides coming up that these are his core beliefs, his foundational beliefs about his wellness. So as he said at the start, guys, if you haven't got a piece of paper, go grab one. For each of these sections, write down the bits that you will need to get yourself into flow. So these are Brett's, he was born well. He's a self-healing, self-regulating system. That he is in charge of how young he feels. That he is in charge of his own health and destiny. Those are the things that support him in being well. What are your beliefs? And maybe if some of them want to dump some of your answers to these questions into the questions, and we'll reflect them back, so that we can really get a sense of what are some of your foundational beliefs, the core beliefs, your philosophy about what you believe about yourself, your body, and the connections between mind, soul, and body.
Fantastic. Thank you, Linden. So yes, you need to own these. Once again, my flow is going to be different to your flow, different to Linden's flow. We do the same sort of training now. Linden wanted to, I've always wanted to do exercise that is natural outdoors, picking up lifting, and it wasn't working for me, so I've moved on to doing something called CrossFit now. Linden's also been doing some CrossFit here in Neisner, and I love it. And once again, it's in flow. So you've got to find what is in flow for you. For a few of the things we're going to go through later in terms of the strategy, but for now, just make sure you're finding out what floats your boat in terms of your flow. Okay, and then we'd like to do another video. Share a video. If you really want to know what a man looks like in flow, I want you to see this man. There you go. So that man, that is what you really see when you're in flow. We often dance to Michael Jackson. Our kids love Michael Jackson, and that man, you can see he's in flow when he's dancing and he's singing.
So Brett, I'm getting a whole bunch of comments here about Michael Jackson because I think I've used him on the previous 2 weeks. So yes, I can see to all those who are regular Michael Jackson fans and who listen to our webinars and come to our workshops and get Michael Jackson, there's more to come. Michael will always be close.
Thank you, Linden. So this is a picture that I often use to explain to people that every single time you make a decision in your life, and so this is once again my flow. So decisions that you make from a wellness perspective are either going to take you, generally speaking, are going to take you into a state of greater health and healing and function, or into a state of disease and degeneration. So this is a very nice way just to depict it in a picture. When we have a look at various other things, you will see I'm going to talk about 3 major stresses in the lifestyle that we look at. But before we go there, I'm going to talk about the 2 different ways that people have a look at. Now, once again, this is a belief system in terms of how people see health and healing. So there are 2 ways that people see health and healing. The first way, in the green circle, or in the green panel here, you can see that it's a proactive way that you look at health. You do things regularly to help and maintain optimum function. It promotes health. Chiropractic falls into that. Good nutrition falls into that. Exercise falls into that. Mindfulness falls into that. And it's all about maintaining the regular, consistent flow of these certain things in your life. I loved last week Linden and Pam and their interaction. We'll get into some of the things that Pam has taught me from a why. One of the other things that we have a look at as to why we want to be healthy, and it's the feeling that we usually want as the end product. So the other way, and I see that 60 to 80% of the world, whether they believe it or not, this is how they interact with health and with healing, is they do things in a reactive way. Most people wait for something to go wrong before seeking help. They do it intermittently. It's relief care or crisis care, and it's usually unsafe, drugs and surgery. Now, I must categorically state that these are necessary things in our society. I had knee surgery last year, which was a very necessary thing from an injury that I had, and it has enabled me to get up and strong, and together with the CrossFit gang, I've been able to get full 100% function and strength back in my knee. So it is something that we'd like to avoid if necessary. So that is one of the beliefs that I have, once again, is to have a look at regular proactive things doing towards our health, as opposed to waiting for something to go wrong.
So Brett, I've got a question coming through here from George, and George, I think that's from Pretoria, because I'd have to remember where you checked in from. So George wants to know, he says, this proactive and reactive approach, is that the same that we take in flow in terms of our psychological and emotional space? Got it. So George, great question. The answer is absolutely yes. A lot of people will kind of go through life kind of happy, but just tickling along, not really in flow, not positive, not powered up, not ready to charge the world and fulfill their purpose and their mission. And then only when they start the negative down spiral, when some things start going wrong, do they go and think about, how do I get myself back into flow? How do I get to that positive charge space? And I think this is exactly the same as what Dr. Brett's talking about here, is that in both our emotional, spiritual, physical world, if we can keep focusing on the positive, being proactive about getting into flow, getting into wellness, then the reactive space often doesn't happen, because you are far more resilient and able to manage it. So great question, and you're absolutely right. That's true for both physical wellness as well as all other parts of flow that we've been talking about. Thanks for that. Please, guys, if there are other questions, please keep dropping them into the question box. I won't be able to get to them all this evening, but we'll certainly keep tracking them and interrupting every now and then.
Great. Thank you very much, George. Okay, moving on. So we're going to have a look now at the 3 things that take us out of flow. Once again, this is my belief system in terms of things that, and once again, it's a double-edged sword.
All right, so I want to tell you what happens here in the studio, because you guys can't see it. So just while, every now and then you'll see that both Brett and I, what do we say next? And the reason we do this is because when we click here to show a slide, we're also watching what you can see, and we realize it takes about 5 to 10 seconds before it shows up in front of us. Instead, it happens on all the screens on the side of us. So if every now and then we're looking a bit flustered, it's not because we don't know what we're talking about. It's actually because the screen that we've got in front of us is not what you have in front of you, and we want to make sure we're talking to the one you've got. So there you go.
Gotcha. Thank you, Linden. So it's not us not being in flow, it's the technology. So, and often we're a little bit, a few steps ahead of the technology.
We are always ahead of our time.
That's right. So, having a look at the lifestyle things, this picture that you can see here encapsulates pretty much the entire aspect of your life in terms of a health perspective. And once again, this is my picture. Emotional at the top, physical and chemical underneath. Now, things that we do in life that are in red take us away from flow. So physical, emotional stress, not being together, not being in flow. Injuries, physical injuries can definitely get us out of flow. The knee injury I had definitely got me out of flow. I wasn't able to run and jump and hike. I like being in remote places with my family. You may have seen that in some of the pictures. And then once again, toxins. Toxins block our systems. You know, even acupuncture talks about flow. The chi that they talk about is about a flow of energy through the body. And then once again, the flip side of that is things that we do in life that are going to increase our body's resistance and our strength and maintain flow. So mental well-being, Pam spoke a lot about that last week with Linden. Nutrition, and as you see here, I don't talk about diets. Nutrition is the laws of nature are pretty clear when it comes to that, what you need to be eating. There's a choice. There's a big move towards banting. We can have a look at that maybe at a later stage. And then exercise and rest. Once again, flow, flow, flow. As you'll see, chiropractic there is the middle picture for me, and this is my belief. I'm a chiropractor. I work on the master control system of the body, and I believe that there's no ways your body can function optimally without the master control system of your body being in flow. So that's what my belief is. You may have different beliefs about different things that you do, and there are different examples of ways that you can have a look at exercise and rest. We'll have a look at those later. We're going to have a look now at your foundational beliefs. We've had a look at your foundational beliefs. So if you've been writing down foundational beliefs, that's fantastic. You can have time later, and once again, I encourage you to make a specific time where you can get into flow and start to do these things by yourself. It's a very limited time here, and we're condensing a 3-hour talk now into this time. So now we have a look at the why. Simon Sinek speaks about the why, the power, the real purpose about and driving force about why you want to be well. So I'm going to go through some of mine once again, and one of the big things I love doing is I love being with my family in remote places. Baviaan's kloof, hiking, jumping, swimming in rivers, all of these things. I love doing it. So these are the reasons why I want to be well. If you're not in flow, if your body's not in flow and there's things that are holding you back and blocking you, you're not going to be able to do things in life. So you must come up with the results that you want. So if you're healthy, what are you going to be able to attain? And what are you going to be able to do? And why you want to do it and how it makes you feel. So you're going to see a few of these popping up. Once again, find your own. These are me and mine. Linden's will be different. Some people, my brother, for instance, loves the vibe of a city. He loves the energy that a city holds and all of that comes with it. And that's different. That's not me. So that's his flow.
All right, guys, so very quickly, this is small on the screen, so I'm going to read them very quickly. Why does Brett want to be well? To look great, to have endless energy, to live for 200 years, to feel alive and young, so that his wife finds him sexy, so that he is able to do anything. He wants as much out of his life as possible, to be a great example for his children, to play actively with his grandchildren, to climb mountains, hike forests, etc. What are your whys? So we started off with foundational beliefs, you know, that your body is the source of all healing, that it's your gift to experience this world. Once you've got that, step 2 is identify your whys. Why do you want wellness? Because if you don't know that, there will be no emotional thing that pulls you forward into doing what you need to do. So really get clear for yourself. Start a list. What is it that you want out of being well, physically well? What are the things that if you were physically well, you would be spending time and energy on? How would being well contribute to your life? So really take the time with that pen and paper in front of you to jot down your whys.
Thank you, Linden. The next one we're going to go into, once you've got your why and the juice behind that, is to visualize it. Linden spoke last time also about what you focus on expands in life. So we're going to go have a look at more of that. So I'll have a look at my visualizations. And remember, this is how you see yourself in the future. And it's always good we have a look at at flinging a rope into the future, like an anchor into the future, and slowly winding it in. So I even visualize the visualization. So I visualize myself, once again, I'm going to go through this quickly. A healthy mind, a body and spirit is part of who I am. So I visualize it in the present tense. Once again, find your own things. Visualize yourself. Where do you want to be? And short-term, long-term, we usually have a look at starting at 3 years and having a look at 10 years, 20 years time, obviously depending on your age. Meditation, exercise, and nutrition are part of my life, and I love it. I'm at the cutting edge of technology from a wellness perspective, obviously continuing my education, making sure that I can provide the best for myself, the best for my family, the best for my community, and the best for the world, like you guys. I have the mind of a master. It's very important to be in flow with that. I believe that my mind is one of my greatest possessions, and I want to make sure that it is razor sharp. I'm optimally fit, strong, and a muscularly toned athlete, and I'm like that for life. And it really excites me. This kind of stuff gives me gooseflesh when I think about it. Another thing, I love nourishing food as fuel for life. I love food. The food that I eat, I love. I don't eat things that I don't enjoy. I do have to be very aware of that because my discipline is one of the things that I work on as well. And one of the things is I believe that our body is made to live for longer than 100 years. Once again, that's my belief system. You put that where you want to. You have a look at how you want to visualize that for yourself.
So Brett, I've got a question there for you. Does that matter if it's true or not?
Well, it depends what your definition of truth is, I guess. You know, if something is in the future, for me, I don't find it as true or false. I find it, I define it or I put it into the box of I don't know, and let's go out there and see it. So for me, I guess the answer to that is it doesn't matter.
Yeah, great. And for those of you who have been on my workshops or at the gathering retreats with us, you know that this is something we talk about often, that instead of getting stuck on whether something is true or not, in particular when it comes to beliefs, rather get stuck on whether it's useful for you. So how is the belief that Brett has that he can live to more than 100, how is that useful for him? And I guess I'll let him answer if I wasn't going to put words in his mouth, but that wouldn't be my style. So I'm going to answer him for him. And the answer would be that if he can keep seeing himself as well and healthy by the time he gets to 100, that's going to have huge impacts on the way he thinks, the way he acts, what he does in his life, which means the chances of getting him to 100 are much better than if he did not have that belief. So really get clear on what your beliefs are. We spoke about it at the beginning. What are your foundational beliefs? Really get clear, because those are the things that will help you get into the action that you need to do the things you need.
Great stuff, Linden. Thank you very much. So yes, the things that I'm going to be doing every day are as part of that. So we talk about the Healthy 100. It's actually a course that I've been working on in terms of if people want to live a really long, vibrant life, a Healthy 100. A lot of people see old people as old and decrepit, and it's not a visualization that people like. So we have a look at focusing on the Healthy 100. Okay, so have a look at how you want to visualize yourself, and moving on from there, now we're going to have a look at some nitty-gritty info. So strategy now, a lot of people say, okay, Brett, all of this, la-di-da, fish-based, whatever, what do I do? So you understand the power that comes behind this. If you've done these visualizations, it makes such a big difference as to, okay, cool, yes, tomorrow I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do this. I'm going to make sure that I succeed with this. So we talk about strategy. And my strategies come in a three-pronged approach from a lifestyle perspective. Emotional, once again, these are my strategies, guys. You need to have a look at your strategy as to what you want to be doing. Emotional for me is the most important. The research shows that stress, and this is journal stuff, I think it's a lot more. They say stress can account for 60% of all disease, or is involved in some way or form with 60% of all disease. I believe it's even greater than that because our mind can be so powerful. So if I'm working on my mind and my emotional state, it has a dramatic effect on my health and wellness. So the things that I choose to do, meditation, and a great thing that we're talking about obviously is flow. So making sure you're in flow, and these are daily practices. I make sure that I address my flow from a meditation point of view, from a creating my day perspective. I work on doing that every day. Do I succeed every day? Of course not. I've got young kids as well, and sometimes that seems to bump us off our path. But once again, it's how you adapt to that. And that's what the positive intelligence Linden was talking about, I think it was 2 weeks ago, in terms of how you respond to something that takes you out of flow. Some of the other things that I do include EFT and tapping. Linden's wife does a lot of that. Hi, Jean. It's a great way of managing stress. Once again,
So just the language thing. He's not tapping my wife. I said we were going to have fun tonight, and that starts right now. So yeah, EFT and tapping with my wife. Just the language there I need to get right. Brett, I'm getting a question coming in here that says, interested that you have emotional at the top. Would you put this as more important or equal to the physical activities? Which one comes first? Emotional wellness that enables you to do more physical, or physical getting you into more emotional?
So fantastic question. Thank you, Linden. It's the same as if a person has cardiovascular disease and they're getting a heart attack, they only address the heart. All the arteries and all the whole vascular system gets diseased, but they only fix 3 or 4 of the arteries. So it's about taking the whole. So we can't, so I've got to be very aware of my language. So I choose not to just address one. If you eat all the most amazing foods in the world, all the nutritional foods, and you hate the world, and you don't exercise, and your nervous system is in a terrible condition, there's no ways that you're going to live a life of your optimum potential. So it's always, there's never one magic bullet. You know, everyone now thinks that Tim Noakes' diet is the magic, but for me, it's always going to be the 4-pronged approach that we have a look at. For me, though, emotional is what can filter through. Once again, emotion, when I'm exercising, I want to be loving exercise. So my emotions around that are important. So that's why I've put emotion at the top. I want to live a life where, you know, I'm not going to remember the gym as in like, yes, that was a great achievement, but it's how it made me feel. And that's why the emotion, and Pam taught me this when we did another presentation many years ago. Actually, it was the beginning of this year. But she spoke about what feeling do you want to get out of this. So that's where it comes from, the visualization and the why behind it. What is the feeling that you want to get about yourself? And that's why I put emotion at the top.
So there's a follow-up question coming through from Steve, and Steve says, let me just read it carefully. When I'm not in the mood, so the emotional space, when I'm not in the mood to do exercise, how do I shift the emotions to get in that space? Any suggestions there? So I have a few. So I'm going to jump in here. So Steve, great question. The first thing to consider is the exercise that you're about to doing really one that's going to inspire you. So for a long time I used to go for runs or go for gym. Neither of those two, I'll let you in on a secret, neither of those two do it for me. Sometimes I enjoy a run. Normally straight after a kid has thrown a tantrum and I need to get out the house and there's no other option. That's about it. But other than that, running does not turn me on. It's not the thing that really moves me. Going for a surf, on the other hand, or going to play frisbee with a bunch of guys on the field, that I really enjoy. So if I had to do exercise that I wasn't motivated to do, I probably wouldn't go and do it anyway. If I'm feeling down and I know I'm off for a surf, that's often enough of a pick-me-up to go and do it anyway. So my first answer to your question is go and find things that you love doing. You know, for some people it's belly dancing. Jean, my wife, her favorite exercise is to go to her belly dancing classes. For others it's to go to CrossFit, like Brett said. You know, whatever your thing is, find it and you'll probably find your emotional space to go and do it is far more exciting because it's something that'll take you into flow. And then when you're in flow, you have energy to do things. Brett.
Great stuff, Linden. And the same happens with so many other things. A lot of people comfort eat, and that's one of the things that I've had to be very careful of. It's very easy to have a look and we'll have a look at your nutrition plan now, your actual meal plan. But if I don't have things in the fridge that are ready for me to snack on from a healthy perspective, we go to the easiest thing. So today we got a delivery and I made a batch of raw chocolate, which is all nutrient dense. It has no sugar in it. So these are some of the things that you can do. So your crutch needs to be something that you love. So I know a lot of people that when they surfers that used to be friends of mine, that when they were stressed out, they'd want to go surfing. So there's a great example. So if you're not feeling like it, you've got to have a look at what would the biggest thing or the most exciting thing that you would do in terms of exercise. Running outside, boxing, a boxing bag. For me, I'm not going to talk about the exercises that I don't like. I'll talk about the ones that I do like. You put me on a trail in the middle of the forest and I just want to run forever. So that's how it works for me.
So Brett, I see Pam, who was with us last week. Good evening, Pam, wherever you are in the world tonight. Great to know that you're listening in tonight. And you've just sent us a message and a question. And the message was to remind us all about positive intelligence, so that when you're not in the mood, when there's something that's happened and you've been dragged down and you don't want to go and do the exercise, consider the positive intelligence tools we used last week to name that part of you, that voice, as something else. So my Darth Vader is saying it doesn't want to do exercise right now, and then go and complete the positive intelligence steps so that you can get into a space where 2 minutes later you can't wait to go and do your exercise. Pam, thanks for that. It was a good reminder.
Great stuff. So moving on to the next, I'm having a look at chemical. Now we just group it like that, and essentially it's having a look at what you put in your body through your mouth. We can take intravenous chemicals and toxins. We don't have to talk about those and ways of smoking, but these are different ways that you can be putting chemicals in your body. Most of the times when you talk about this, we talk about nutrition and a meal plan. Most people tend to have, as a habit, they eat between 7 and 12 meals for their entire life, and yes, it changes now and then. So the big thing is to, from a strategy point of view, is I like to have 7 to 12 meals that I know that I can eat and that I can go to the kitchen and everything is there ready for me to do. Yes, if we've got fresh fish or something like that, it is something that we need to incorporate, but I want to make sure that my kitchen is locked and loaded for the things that I know are going to be healthy and that I'm going to love eating. I know a lot of people don't like raw food. I like eating a plate of raw food. Yes, I eat a lot of hummus with that, and but that's the way I like doing it. Yes, there's a question, Linda.
No question.
Okay. So also, if you have a look at the choices that you make at a restaurant, the thing is just to make a conscious choice. Once again, positive intelligence. Don't go to the food that's going to be comfortable, or like a comfort eat for you. Most people have a look at 2 to 3 options on the menu that they'd like to have. Choose the healthiest. Just a bit of advice. And then I also have a question.
So here's a question. The question is, when the healthy stuff is not stuff we like, what do we do then? And that was from Leonie. Thank you, Leonie.
It's a good question. So thank you for stumping me there. There's got to be some food that you like that falls into the healthy, or prepare it in a healthier way. We've got literally, my wife's doing Vicky's, who's also listening here, hello Vicky, is doing a lot of research on picky eating for kids, because we've had to go through that and it's not easy. So Vicky has spent hours and hours, and there've been many times where we've both been out of flow with it, and I'll put my hand up to that. But the amazing work that Vicky's done with all the books that we've read and that she's read and gone through, there are ways. So just, you don't have to make a huge step. You can't try and jump a flight of stairs. Take each step at a time by just shifting. And there are a few little tips that I'm going to give now. Just have a look at going a little bit healthier. If you're going to be preparing food, use a healthier form of oil as opposed to the hydrogenated fats and all the unhealthy foods, go for a healthier option. The best cooking oil for what we've had a look at is virgin coconut oil. So those are just a couple of tips with that. I don't know if that's answered it.
Yeah, great. And now is now, because we've only got about 15 minutes left for tonight. So if you have any of those tips, what would they be? What would be the greatest tips to staying in wellness around strategies and eating and things that you can think of?
Okay, so if I had to then do it in 1 or 2 sentences, get rid of sugar completely. The only drinks you should be drinking are water and maybe a little bit of wine as a ceremony with the family, but our kids drink water, and only water. Yes, there's special occasions and there are times that you can do that, but that's where we come into the detox. Like you see here, we need to be detoxing regularly. Other things to be doing getting rid of wheat completely, not just reducing it. Obviously start reducing it, then cut it out. It should not even be in your house. There are other alternatives that you can use. Yes, they are not easy to cook with, but wheat has a huge effect on your gastrointestinal system, clogging it up. The main ingredient of what's that stuff? Paper mache is flour. So it clogs things up. Flour is used as a glue. So what do you think that's going to do for the flow of your gastrointestinal system? It's not going to help it. And then what wheat does to your brain is crazy. There's a book called Grain Brain. It seriously messes with the flow of your nervous system as well.
So Brett, there's a question here about the 80-20 principle. So having 80% healthy and then you can have a space to play with other stuff. What do you think about that?
I like the 80-20 principle. We have the 5-2 rule. 5 days of the week we do things very clean and tidy.
What is that?
That's 5. And then 2 days of the week we take it easy. I've got a different rule. 5 days of the week I do it very, very, very tight. 1 day of the week, and it's usually a Saturday, I err a little bit, and then Sunday I can do whatever I want. But I've got a whole different rule. So yes, 80-20 principle, something like that, but it depends on how serious you are. I'm a little bit closer to the 90-10, but yeah, I think you get the drift there. Okay, so
just quickly, there's a question here coming through about GMOs and the impact on us. And it's a great comment, so thank you, Rob. He says here, not to mention GMOs, which people now use instead of wheat. So they're getting away from wheat, but they're going straight to GMOs instead. How's that working for us?
So yes, a lot of people use soya, and 80% of the soya, and that is including South Africa, 80% of our soya is genetically modified. Now, the research is clear that you are dancing with the devil in the pale moonlight if you're having a look at GMOs. We can't conclusively say that it's 100% that they are dangerous, but you are messing with the wrong thing. The best thing is to go organic, the old-fashioned way. So what can you replace wheat with? So we use coconut flour, we use rice milk, so there are complications to that, but yes, I agree with you there, Rob. GMOs are not the way to go, in my opinion.
Great. So I see all our GMO activists are getting online here and dropping us lots and lots of lines. We actually can't even read them quick enough. They're coming in with all the go, no more GMOs. So thank you, everyone, for that participation. Next time we do this, we should have a poll saying, what is it the worst, GMOs, wheat, sugar, and see what people come up with. Any other tips? So your other tips around strategies to get into the wellness?
So tips are eat as much raw food as possible, raw green vegetables. Our body is built to eat like that. My favorite way of supporting nutrition, if you had to give it a name, is the paleo way. There's also, so that's a paleo diet. There is the modified Mediterranean diet. These are all very similar. Whole food, raw food, eat less meat if possible, and have a look at clean water, filtering your water, rainwater, spring water. All of these things are the greatest. Exercise, once again, a 5-2 principle, exercising 5 days of the week, and different forms of exercise. We're getting questions in here from Pilates instructor Yeah, fantastic. So Pilates, and once again, you've got to have a look at if that's your flow. Yoga, if that's your flow. CrossFit. I get patients in all the time that are cage fighters. Do you think I'm going to tell them that it's going to damage their body? The odds are pretty strong. So if I was to tell them that they should stop that, I'm firstly going to get a blood nose, and I have to stop the flow of my blood nose. So I don't tell people what to do. They've got to find what their flow is that is helping them.
Yeah, so what I want to do is, just quickly, because I'm very conscious of our time tonight, I'm going to shift the screen and share with you guys, let me just make sure I can see it for myself. Let's see how I can do this. I want to show you a wellness manifesto once it's complete. So we've spoken, oh, there it disappeared again. We've spoken about the 4 parts to the wellness manifesto, and they were: make sure you understand what your core philosophies are. Then, let me just get it across here because I really want you to be able to see this so that we can share it together. Give us a second while we get this up here for you. All right, and it should be coming through in the next second or two. So this is the Wellness Manifesto that I did with Brett a year ago. It's been updated a few times, but it's on. I have a glass shower, and it is on the glass wall of my shower, so that every morning, obviously I stick it on the outside of the shower, not the inside. And then every morning I can look through the glass and see it on the other side, but this is what it says. So the first section is really what Brett was speaking about earlier when he said your core principles. What are the things that I believe? And these are the beliefs about me and my wellness. I'm not going to go through them all in detail. This is really just to give you an idea of what a wellness manifesto looks like once it's completed. So it's things like the most important choice I can make is to live life to the fullest. Being optimally well physically, emotionally, and spiritually is the requirement for living fully expressed. I have the ability and resources within to do this. It's my responsibility expressed in my choices. There's no one else's responsibility to be well. My wedding vows with Jean, one of the first ones we said to each other in our vows was, I take responsibility for my own physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being, and not expect you to do the same. So, really this whole idea of getting your foundational beliefs really strong. In my Wellness Manifesto, I then put a whole bunch of pictures at the bottom, and the purpose of this is so that I can visually activate that part of me that wants to remember what it feels like when I am living a life fully expressed. There's me surfing, there's me on my wedding day. There was this time in my life when I did cage fighting and stopped as soon as I got knocked out. But these were moments where I really felt fully expressed. The second part of the Wellness Manifesto that Brett took us through tonight is the section which is why. Why do I want to be well? So firstly, I've got my beliefs, but now why do I want to be well? If I am well, what is it going to make a difference in my life? And these are the ones that I've chosen in my manifesto. I live well and for longer in a well state. I want that. I have energy and vitality. I think clearly. I feel good and confident. If I am well, if I'm physically fit, if I'm energized, these are the things that happen to me. I have a great sex life. It's the fitter I get, the better it gets. I reduce and prevent disease. I recover well and quickly. Oh, and by the way, when I did my Wellness Manifesto, Brett had a look at the I have a great sex life, followed by I reduce and prevent disease, and wondered if they were related, and they're not, just letting all of you out there know as well. I recover well and quickly. I do things. When I'm feeling fit, healthy, energized, in flow, if someone says, hey, how about we do this, I'm far more keen to go, yeah, I'm there, let's go. So these are the whys for me in my wellness. I really want to do it. The next section that Brett's taken us through tonight is this idea of visualizing. So if you are well, what will it actually look like? So this is my visual. I kept it very simple so that it could be something that I could see continuously. I am and will continue to be fit and lean, strong and able, healthy and radiant. Those are the things that when I am well, that is what it looks like for me. And if I go into actually closing my eyes and picturing myself, I can see myself in 10 years being fit and lean, being strong and able, being healthy and radiant. The next section of my Wellness Manifesto, I've broken my strategies up into, I think it was 3 or 4. The one is I know that eating healthily is a requirement and therefore choose. So these are my personal choices around what I'm eating. The next one is I know that exercise is a regular requirement for physical wellness, and therefore this is what I am choosing to do a variable rate exercise 20 minutes a day at least. Then I know that managing my stress is a requirement for physical wellness and therefore choose. So my language is very clear. I am choosing to be responsible for my wellness. A massage once a week, to stretch on weekdays, to not sit for more than 40 minutes. These were stuff that I then went through to really get to a place of wellness. So I just want to go through those 4 steps to getting your wellness manifesto. Understand your core beliefs around wellness, around your body, around who you are and what you believe. That's number 1. Number 2, are you clear about why you want to be well? What becomes possible for you in your life when you are well? Number 3, if those things become possible, what does it look like? So for me, it's fit and lean, full of radiance and energy. And then number 4, what are your strategies to make sure this happens? Now, most of us, as Brett says, we start at number 4. We go into strategies, our diet, our exercise plan, how we're going to, well, a lot of us don't even deal with how we're going to maintain our emotional space. But the real idea here, the power of the manifesto, is that it's often the why. And understanding our beliefs. When we have those 2 right, it is much easier to keep in flow with the strategies. But if you don't know your why, if you don't know why it is important to you personally, so not what the gurus tell you, not what Dr. Brett tells you, not what I tell you, but why is it important for you to be physically well? If you don't know that, the likelihood of you being able to step into a routine, a practice of wellness is going to be very small. So really take the time and the energy to do those first 3 stages. Know your core beliefs, get the why for yourself, and then actually visualize what it's going to look like. What will you look like? What will you be doing when you are well? Brett, we have about a minute or 2 to wrap up. Anything you want to leave everyone with?
My suggestion, once again, is to do this regularly. Do it with your family. If it is not sustainable that you can carry on doing it, you need to be having a look at this regularly. Okay, wow, yeah, see, that didn't work for me. I really didn't like that. So have a look at this regularly, whether it's once a month for you or every 3 months, and just have a look through this. I've done something called Life Book, which had a big influence on this, and it goes through 12 different parts of my life. I look through this every single month, and I'm paging through it all the time just to see if I need fine-tuning as to what I want to do. So if you're interested, have a look at that. It's called Life Book online. Very cool as well, but you've got the strategies here for your life. That's all you need, and just get out there and do it. Thank you.
Great, and remember to do it in flow. So find the diet that works for you, find the exercise that works for you. Don't do stuff you hate just because someone tells you think you should, or you think you should, or some guru says you should. If a diet works for you, figure it out. Go and try it. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Move on, try the next one. But do it so that you're in flow. Do things that make you happy. Brett, I really want to say thank you for coming in tonight. It's been great having you here. To everyone that's listening, next week is a cooker. We have Mike Budden from Sabano Consultancy in Cape Town, and next week is all about flow in the workplace, how to get yourself doing work that you love. What are the requirements? How does it look? It's going to be absolutely phenomenal. Mike is one of these guys that just being with him absolutely inspires me. He coaches a lot of top leaders and really successful organizations around South Africa. Absolute winner. So join us next week. And from us, really, thank you very much for joining us. Please remember, this will be available as a recording from tomorrow. I will send you the link. Guys, have a fantastic, fantastic night.